The question around internet access, especially at home for students around the state, there are certainly areas of the state that have a little bit more of a challenge on those fronts. We're looking at some solutions that would, number one, possibly help for places where they might have, certainly 4G using cellular as a possibility in some places. Other places still don't have even that capacity. School districts have used in the past, even where we've had limited home access, the ability to kind of broadcast their own internet, at least in a small area and around their communities. That's been happening for a while in smaller places, and then places where they know they have students that can't access that, they're really trying to work on materials that could be either downloaded and delivered or otherwise provided in some other fashion. So it is a challenge in some areas. It's also a challenge based on income, and so you're starting to see some proposals out there. I think a few providers out there are starting to provide reduced rates for families that might not be able to afford that at home. I think that news is just kind of starting to come out over the last couple of days, and so you'll see different providers putting that type of package out there for families. Home-based work's another, by the way. So I mean, even for our teachers, whether or not they have access, certainly we've tried to encourage that the schools are open for teachers to do work and encourage some flexibility around how that's done. So there are some of those challenges out there, but our schools are really well set up for internet themselves, so there's still some access points for us on those fronts. So I would just add, I think there's also some changes in E-rate that are going to allow for expenditures on that front, and I think honestly this moment in time will probably change our ability to think about access for a long time. I think there'll be a lot of interest in expanding access to homes. No, I'm not. Whether or not I'm aware of any schools being open in a normal setting, no. We actually have had, if you think across the state, we have private and parochial schools. Certainly, we have, and I believe they've all taken up my recommendation. All the public schools have taken up that recommendation. We do have a list of all the schools they've submitted something to us. So there's a full list of the schools that are now operating in this fashion. We actually have exempt schools, kind of a unique dynamic. We might consider the home schools, but there are actually some families that do group exempt schools, and we've called and reached out to all of them and asked them to also follow the recommendation.